Okay, so for the class 3s, okay, so I have a contact between the two centrals. So let me see. This particular instrument I have is angled this way. So that instrument will work well for the mesial of 8. And we're going to put the prep extending from just the genital border of the contact right there down to the genital embrasure about right here. That's all we're going to do. Okay. Now I'll switch over. I'll start with the number 2 round burr. You get the basic shape and position. And I'm going to bring the burr past the adjacent tooth like this. I'm going to put the incisal margin about right there, genital margin about right here. I'm not going directly from the lingual because I want the lingual wall and the axial wall to be a little different. But I'm going to come this direction. I'm not planning to get facial clearance now. We'll do that with a combination of the number 1 burr and the hand instrument. But that's the basic position incisal gingivae. We'll go a little farther gingivae. And I can see exactly how close I am to the adjacent tooth because I'm looking in the right direction. Now I'm going to use the smaller round burr. We'll refine the prep, and then we'll be able to use the hand instrument too. So there's a genital margin. So we have all these line angles we can define. So there's going to be a little bit of a hook at the incisal margin, obviously. I'm going to go facially a little more with the burr near the adjacent tooth than I go with the burr at the axial wall. So the facial wall starts to angle outward a little bit because that's what we want. But now let's use the hand instrument and see where we are. So the hand instrument I have is the Jeffrey hatchet that has the same angles that we want for the facial wall. Notice that the instrument basically is perpendicular to the surface of the tooth, so it creates a wall that has no undermined enamel. It's angled outward like opening a door. I can cut the hook off the incisal and scrape the hook off the facial and scrape the hook off the facial down to the gingival. And now, let's take a look at it. The big question is, do I have enough clearance facially up in this area? And I don't quite. I wouldn't be able to bevel that part of the facial margin. So let's go a little farther facially. We'll take the burr, put it right next to the adjacent tooth. We're going to go up and down near that margin. I'm undermining the enamel at the margin, mostly in the more incisal area. Then we'll use the hand instrument again. Now I'm getting some more definite clearance all the way to the incisal. I want to bring the facial bevel to the incisal, so I better get some facial clearance to the incisal. Okay, so that's working out pretty well. So if I have enough clearance facially, then I can probably go ahead and use that 132F burr or the ET3F and create the bevels. So I'm going to do that right now. The big question is, do I have it? I think I might need to borrow somebody's. Thank you. So now I'm going to bevel the 3 line angles on the lingual surface. And I'm going to have the burr fairly parallel to the surface of the tooth so the bevel comes past that margin. And I don't point it into the prep and bevel because that really won't make a bevel that exposes the end of the enamel rods. And over here I might have the handpiece very near the palate. Now I'm going to bevel gingerly through the underneath the contact from the lingual surface to the buccal surface. I'm angling the burr gingerly about a 45-degree angle and pushing it from the lingual surface to the buccal surface. Then I'll bring it up the facial margin like this. So 5 different line angles. Number 5 is the facial margin bevel. And take it as close as you can to the incisal margin. Now we have a bevel here, 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 gingerly right through there, and then up the facial margin right there. That's all we need. Okay. So again, the incisal margin just touches the adjacent tooth at the gingival border of the contact. Gingival, you have enough gingival clearance so we can make the bevel. Facially, we use a combination of the burr and the hand instrument to get enough facial clearance so we can make the bevel. We come in past the adjacent tooth, so the axial wall, there's an axial lingual line angle. The lingual wall and the axial wall are not the same, so that means that the lingual margin is extended a little bit less than it might have been if we came in directly from the lingual. So that works out just fine. Okay.